Title: You're embarrassing me in front of my boss's boss. Start: She hissed it through clenched teeth at the company retreat, fingers digging into my sleeve like a warning label. People were watching. I nodded, calm, obedient, and I walked to my car. Behind me, hurried footsteps on gravel. A man who had never learned how to breathe quietly when afraid. "Sir," he said. His face had gone gray. "I just recognized you from the board meeting last month. Does she know who you are?" That was the moment everything finished clicking into place. I didn't always know who my wife was when no one was watching. Once, she laughed too loud at my bad jokes. Once, she held my hand in silence and meant it. I built my life around the idea that loyalty, like gravity, didn't need to be questioned. We were a team. That's what she used to say. We win together. I stepped back from the spotlight years ago. Sold my firm quietly. Kept my name off press releases. Took a consulting role that sounded small enough to make insecure people comfortable. I learned that invisibility is a weapon. People show you who they really are when they think you don't matter. She started changing after the promotion. New clothes. New laugh. New impatience with the man who'd known her before she rehearsed confidence in the mirror. The retreat was her idea. Networking, she said. Translation, performance. I was an accessory that didn't match the outfit. A phone turned face down. Calendar entries that didn't line up. A tone she only used when speaking to someone she wanted to impress. The real discovery came on a Tuesday. Always Tuesdays. I was looking for an old photo on our shared cloud when I found a folder she'd mislabeled. Screenshots. Messages. Not explicit. Worse. Strategic. Flirtation layered with ambition. Promises of alignment. Jokes at my expense. Plans that didn't include me. Her boss's boss was in those messages. Not as a lover. As leverage. She was trading access. Whispering narratives. Painting herself as indispensable. Painting me as a liability. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. I didn't cry. I didn't confront. Pain is loud. Planning is silent. I took my time. I pulled old contracts. Called favors I'd never cashed in. Hired a forensic accountant who asked no questions and billed like a surgeon. I let her keep talking. Let her keep believing she was in control. I learned she'd been feeding the executive team a story that I was unstable, possessive, irrelevant. That she tolerated me. That she was the real mind behind my old success. I learned she'd positioned herself for a massive promotion contingent on one thing: my complete disappearance from her professional narrative. So I made sure to be very present. The retreat was stage 1. Neutral ground. High visibility. Egos everywhere. She introduced me to people like a chore. Incorrect title. Diminished accomplishments. A soft laugh after every explanation, like an apology for my existence. When she pulled me aside and hissed that line, it wasn't anger. It was fear. I nodded because nodding makes people careless. I walked to my car because exits matter. That's when her boss's boss followed me. The same man who'd nodded respectfully when I'd presented quarterly forecasts to the board under a holding company name he hadn't bothered to remember. "Does she know who you are?" he asked. I opened my car door. Paused. "No," I said. "But she's about to." At 9:03 a.m. the next morning, the board received a memo clarifying ownership structures, past IP contributions, and a conflict of interest disclosure they'd never been given. At 9:11, legal received corroborating documentation. At 9 18. HR received screenshots with timestamps. I didn't add commentary. I added facts. Facts don't argue. They wait. By lunch, her calendar was wiped clean. By afternoon, she was called into a room with glass walls and no blinds. I wasn't there. Power doesn't need an audience. She didn't scream at first. She tried charm, then confusion, then outrage. She accused me of sabotage like I'd broken something that belonged to her. I handed her a single envelope. Divorce papers. Post-nuptial addendum she'd signed years ago without reading, back when she trusted me. Her voice cracked when she realized there was no safety net, no severance, no allies left to spin for. They chose you? She asked, stunned. I shook my head. They chose the truth. Her promotion was rescinded. Her internal advocates distanced themselves. The executive who'd entertained her narratives found himself answering uncomfortable questions about why he hadn't verified sources. Reputations don't explode, they deflate. I moved out quietly, took only what was mine, left the house exactly as she'd staged it, beautiful, empty, and suddenly too honest. Now, when I think back to that moment at the retreat, I don't feel anger. I feel clarity. She didn't embarrass me. She revealed herself. And when her boss's boss recognized me in the parking lot, it wasn't fear in his eyes. It was understanding. The realization that the man being dismissed was the one who decided what stayed standing. I never raised my voice. I never asked for mercy. I simply stopped protecting someone who didn't deserve the cover. Justice doesn't always look like revenge. Sometimes it looks like stepping aside and letting the truth finish the job. And it always remembers who built the room when the lights come back on.